Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Salem City Council to order. I'd like to welcome you to our meeting this evening. The slight delay there was, as you may know, we are streaming these meetings, and we wanted to make sure that the streaming had started just slightly before the meeting did, so everything will be fine. Today is Monday, August 10th, 2026, and the time is 6:30 p.m. We thank you for joining us, both here in the council chambers and those watching from home. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'd like to note that Councilman John Saunders will be participating remotely this evening per Virginia Code Section 2.2-3708.3A1 for a temporary medical condition. No vote is required for his participation. Mr. Light, do you have a remote participation request to read for us?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor Turk's remote participation tonight is provided for in a different code section and requires voting on by the other members. Mayor Turk asks that I read the following request on her behalf. In accordance with Section 2.2-3708.3B4 of the Code of the Commonwealth of Virginia and the remote participation policy of the City of Salem, I hereby request to participate remotely due to a personal matter, specifically that I am out of town.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Saunders. Mr. Saunders. Thank you. Mr. Holliday.
Aye.
Mr. Foley.
Aye.
Ms. Green.
Aye. All right, welcome, Mayor Turk and Mr. Saunders. Thank you for joining us this evening.
That's right.
Thank you for having us.
Awards and recognitions. We have some police officers, new police officers present here this evening. Field Training Officer Randall McGee, if you would like to bring up our new officers for introduction. We have Austin Eldridge, Troy Freiling, Talon Herndon, and James Nunley. Spread out so we can all see your smiling faces.
So you can see the citizens.
Yeah, and turn around so that the citizens will know you. Welcome to the City of Salem, and welcome to the Salem Police Department. We're so happy that you have joined us. Officer McGee, is there anything you'd like to say about these new officers?
They've just graduated from the 87th Law Enforcement Academy, the Cardinal Justice Criminal Academy. I'll just let them go one by one, say their name, where they're from, any experience they have prior to coming here, starting with Talon Herndon.
My name is Officer Herndon. I was born and raised in Salem, and I look forward to working in Salem.
My name is Officer Nunley. I was born and brought up in school in Bloomberg, not too far from here. Previous to this, I worked for the City Sheriff's Office for 3 years, so it was time to change and love Salem.
I'm Officer Eldridge, born and raised in Salem, Virginia. I have no prior experience.
I'm Officer Freiling, born and raised in Salem as well. Graduated from Clever High School. Very excited to be here.
Well, great, thank you. Congratulations, welcome. We look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you for your service.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, you're free to be released.
Yes, you are more than welcome to go out on patrol.
Go help us out.
That's right, thank you. That brings us to the consent agenda. First item is citizen comments. We have no speakers that are signed up to speak this evening for citizen comments. Item B, minutes. We will consider acceptance of the July 27th, 2026 work session and regular meeting minutes. Are there any questions or comments or corrections to the minutes?
I don't have any.
No? In that case, the minutes are accepted. At this time, I'm going to ask the city manager, Mr. Dorsey, to provide an update on items of interest that are going on in the city of Salem.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor. I appreciate that. We'll start with this last Saturday. We had a beautiful day. We had 361 runners in the 52nd annual Salem Distance Run. Did you want to make a comment on that,
Oh,
Councilman Holliday?
yes, City Manager Dorsey. Yes, the Salem Distance Run this Saturday was extremely successful. We had, like City Manager Dorsey said, 361 runners. The weather was great. We honored 3 of our coaching legends within the city, Coach Richard Browder, Coach Dar Graham, and Coach Thomas Roth. And after the race and after the award ceremony, we had a reunion of runners from Salem, Andrew Lewis, and Roanoke College at Preston Place. And we probably had about 40 individuals there, and it was a good time was had by all. So yes, it was very successful. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. Also, this last Saturday, we had the Salem Farmers Market. It was absolutely slammed, as it has been all year. This past Saturday also wrapped up Farmers Market Week in the Commonwealth. Our market here, it's a gold certified Virginia Farmers Market, and we are very proud of that distinction. Pickin' in the Park, the wildly popular free bluegrass concert with Junior Sisk and other acts is this Saturday night at Longwood Park. It runs from about 5:30 to 8:30. Salem Civic Center is hosting the Star City Cruisers 35th Annual Car, Truck, and Cycle Show Saturday from 9 to 2. You can get info from that at the Civic Center website. Today was the first day for teachers to go back to school. So, welcome to all the teachers. Is that not right, Curtis? There you go.
Had a great day, and we've got convocation on Monday, and our students start back next Tuesday.
Excellent. Oh, and I'm also supposed to say, as always, speeding in school zones and bus stop areas will not be tolerated. Okay. And lastly, Mill Lane is back open, and as well as Market Street. So we fixed the sewer issue over on Mill Lane, like I said, and Verizon put in their new diesel tank on Market. So things are getting back to normal there, so I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Item C, financial reports. Consider acceptance of the statement of revenues and expenses for the 10 months ending April 30th, 2026. Any questions on the financial statements? The financial statements are hereby received. Item 5, old business. We have no old business this evening because we have a lot of new business this evening. Item 6, new business. Item A, stormwater utility. We are holding a public hearing and considering an ordinance on first reading to amend, revise, reordain, and enact Chapter 30, Environment, by adopting additional sections 30-189 through 30-199, Article 6, Stormwater Utility Fee of the Code of the City of Salem, Virginia, as advertised in the July 23rd and 30th, 2026 issues of the Salem Times Register. Before I open the public hearing, is staff interested in discussing this and making a presentation? Thank you, Mr. Simpson.
Good evening, Vice Mayor Green, and members of council.
Sounds like that may not be on.
He's muted.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening. My name's Will Simpson. I'm the city engineer and assistant director for community development for the city of Salem. Tonight, we're here to discuss a potential stormwater utility fee. We've had several public meetings to go over this. We've met with council, we've met with staff. But I'll just do a brief presentation to kind of go over the overview of what this is and why we're doing it. So why does Salem need an enterprise fund? For several years now, the city has been under a what's called a municipal separate storm sewer system permit, which is short for MS4. What that does is all localities that are an incorporated city that control their own stormwater have to be under this permit. It is a state-issued permit, and inside of that permit, there are mandates that the state hands down to the city. Those mandates that come down are unfunded. It is up to the locality to fund these and make sure you're adhering to these mandates that come down. Over the years, they've gotten more and more stringent as time has gone on. When the first permit came out, there were very loose ends in this, and so you were able to do the minimal amount to be able to adhere to the permit. As time has gone on, they've closed those loose ends and made things more stringent to the point where now you have to do a lot more to be able to make sure your permit is being adhered to. We are currently in compliance, but we are barely in compliance. So that is why we're looking at other funding sources. So staff came to council and told council of our needs, of what was going on. And so council then told us that what we needed to do was try to look for possible funding sources for this. So as you can see on the slides here, what we have to do, one of the biggest things that we are subject to is what's called a total maximum daily load, and those are TMDLs. And what our biggest one is sediment removal. So sediment removal can be anything in creeks, streams, rivers, from construction to natural erosion, things like that. So the city, in addition to the stormwater that we regulate, we also regulate our erosion and sediment control mandates that come down from the state as well. So all this is tied together, and that's why what we're seeing with these increased regulations. So what's causing a lot of these problems? We've got increased development, increased impervious area. You've got more frequent storms, more intense storms. Perfect example was earlier today. We didn't get hit as hard here, but other areas, they got hit hard with winds and rains, and there's flooding and things like that. So that's all occurring at a more frequent rate than it has in the past. And the other issue is our aging infrastructure. We've got infrastructure that was put in 50, 60 years ago, and it's kind of one of those out of sight, out of mind type things. So those are the things that we need to look at improving in the city to help with our permits. So how would a utility fee be used? A lot of it is for our administration. Well, I won't say a lot of it. About half of it's for our administration, because we have to do certain things for the state. We have annual reviews that we have to go through. We have audits every 5 years that are very intense. We have our inspections. We have facilities in the city that have to be maintained. So all of that can be utilized by a stormwater fee. We've also got developing more BMPs, with best management practices. So those are things like ponds and rain gardens and things that can help out with some quality control and quantity control of stormwater. Some other things that we're looking at doing with a stormwater fee would be to improve our streams and do some restorations in our streams and creeks and rivers. Because if you ride around, you can see all kind of natural erosion occurring in all of our creeks and streams. And so this would be an area where we could improve and get a lot of credits from the state for that sediment removal. And then the last thing, like I talked about before, is our infrastructure. We need to improve our infrastructure, and we need to get a better handle on what type of infrastructure we have, where it is, what shape it is in, and then be able to come up with a prioritization list of projects that come out of that. So how can we do it? The state code gives every locality that is subject to an MS4 permit the ability to create a stormwater utility fee. It's section code, or state code 15.2-2114. That allows for the locality to set aside a special dedicated revenue strictly for the use of stormwater. It can't be used for anything else. It can't go towards any kind of vehicles for other departments or special projects or anything like that. It has to go specifically for stormwater. So if it's not stormwater related, the funds that are generated from this cannot be used for it. So how did we come to this point? So like I said earlier, we had a directive from council that told us to explore some options on how we can generate funds for stormwater. We established a stormwater advisory committee. That was a citizen and public-based group that consisted of people from Roanoke College, churches. We had some industry people that were on that. We had local business owners, and we had citizens that were on it. We met several times, I think it was probably 6 or 7 times, throughout the span of about 6 or 7 months, with that council, that committee in particular. But we also met with that committee with other localities that have already gone through this process. So Salem is one of the last localities in our area to go through this process. Roanoke City, Blacksburg, Christiansburg, Lynchburg, Stanton, most everybody around us already has this in place and has had it in place for the better part of 10 to 15 years already. So we have talked with a bunch of them, got lessons learned from them, tried to get the best of what they did and tried to incorporate it into this. So the goal of this group was to establish a parameter for what we wanted this fee to look like, how we were going to assess it, what it was going to cost, how it was going to be distributed, things like that. So the other thing that we did was we created the ordinance that is before you today, that we have to do and alter our ordinance to include this language in it. And then I'll touch on this a little bit later, but there is a crediting structure inside of the stormwater ordinance. So what we have to do is if we charge a fee, we have to be able to offer credits for any measures that any company or homeowner or anything like that does to improve their stormwater. And then the last thing, we've had public outreach. We've had information up on the community development's website. We've had a social media post. Multiple social media posts have gone out. We sent out a flyer in everybody's utility bill about what the stormwater fee is and notifying them of public meetings. And then we did have 2 public meetings over at Salem Civic Center on June 18th and June 24th, which I think most everybody from council and even some planning commission attended. So basically what the fee boils down to is it is a charge for the amount of impervious area. And by impervious area, I mean the amount of square footage of area that you have on your land that does not allow water to absorb into it. It just runs off, sheet flow off. So that's things like houses, roofs, driveways, pavement, parking lots, sidewalks, things like that. So what we have to do is we got the state data. They fly the state and they get aerial imagery for the entire state. And then what they do is they digitize that aerial imagery and they're able to trace out and get the exact square footage for every parcel in the city for how much impervious area is on that parcel. So what we did is we have divided that up between residential and non-residential. So you've got your residential that has single-family homes, apartments, condos, all those types of things. And then you've got your non-residential, which is your industry, your industrial units, your commercial, retail, things like that. So what we're planning to do on that is every 3 years, the state flies their aerial imagery, and we're going to update our data every 3 years. We're on a cycle now with the state. We have a contract set up with them that we're going to have this data updated every 3 years. So what the committee came up with was 2 separate ways of billing this. One is for the residential side, one is for the non-residential side. The residential side, it basically takes the average area for the entire city, for all residential units, residential lots in the entire city. We took the average impervious area on that lot, and it came up to about 3,500 square feet of impervious area. So that is what is called, on the second slide there, the equivalent residential unit, or an ERU. So all of our fees and everything are based off of one ERU. So what the committee came up with after talking with other localities is that for a single-family house, a condo, or a townhome, it would be charged $10 a month per ERU. So if you got a single-family home, it's just a flat $10 fee. There is no measuring or anything like that. It's just a flat fee. For apartments, duplexes, triplexes, multifamily homes, those are typically on one lot, and they're split up between renters or things like that. We're charging a half of an ERU, so basically $5 a month if it's a $10, which is what we're proposing. And then for mobile homes, they're a little smaller. They don't necessarily create as much stormwater as a house or any of these others. We did 30% of the ERU, which is $3. For your non-residential, so this is churches, industrial, educational, Roanoke College, everything, anything that's not a residential unit. It's a tiered structure. So basically, we went through and looked at everybody's structure of how they have that set up. And most everybody do a tiered structure for the larger units. So a lot of these industrial and commercial and things like that are going to be bigger than what your homes are. So there's a tiered, I think, yeah, it's right here. So there's a tiered monthly fee for that. So wherever you fall in your parcel, so if you've got, say, 25,000 square feet or 24,000 square feet, you would fall in that range, and that would be your monthly fee based off of this. Now, like I said before, there are crediting things that you can do for your stormwater and collection and things like that. If you're already meeting the current stormwater management criteria for the city, then you're almost automatically going to qualify for several credits. Some of the older things that don't necessarily meet today's current standards, they would maybe have to bring some things up into current standards to qualify for those same credits. But most everybody who's doing new development, things like that, they're going to automatically qualify for 30 to 40% credits on their bill because they're already doing what we're asking them to do to improve the stormwater. So these are a sample of what we anticipate costs to be. Like I said before, we've got administration. Administration is salary for staff, equipment and vehicle maintenance for the stormwater staff, and then consultant fees for when we need to do, we have an environmental consultant that helps us out with all of our stuff that we do with stormwater, as far as like the annual reviews and things like that. Anything that we're dealing with DEQ, we have a consultant that is an expert at doing these types of things, and they help us out with that. They also can help us out with doing designs for any of these projects that we want to do, whether it's infrastructure improvement or it's stream bank stabilization or things like that. These are things that we will need the consultants to help us with because we do have a very small staff in-house. Other things, maintenance. We have an ongoing maintenance crew that works on storm drains, that replaces storm drains. They work on the maintenance of our ponds, things like that. We also have our street sweeping program. That can be fully supplemented by the stormwater fee. Because that is it can be a good tool that we can use for our sediment removal credits. Right now, we don't have that enough to be able to qualify for the stormwater credits, or for the sediment credits. But if we were to do this and we were able to put somebody full-time that can do this and do the things that we need, we can then make that up and be able to get the credits that we can use for sediment. And then the last thing is our projects, our capital projects that we're looking at doing. We want to be able to upgrade storm drains and put in curb and gutter where it needs to go to help collect things. We want to be able to do the stream bank stabilizations. We want to, do a lot of the sediment removal things that we need to meet our permits. And those are not cheap. Those are not cheap at all. We have, I'd say probably the better part of over 150 stormwater ponds in the city. And probably a third of those are city owned and maintained. So there's a lot that we have to do to keep those ponds running properly and things like that. So what's our revenues based off of the numbers that we've presented? If we had no credits whatsoever, we would be generating about $2.8 million in the revenues. With the credits, we figured most of the credits would come from the non-residential side. There is a crediting option for residential, but it can be a little intensive, just like the non-residential can. But anybody's eligible for it. If they want to go through the process and do it, they can. So basically what we're figuring is probably roughly around $2.4 million is what we would actually see if we get all of the fees coming in and people apply for the credits that they are looking for. How would it be billed? So what we would be looking for is if council gives approval for this, we would take the next probably 4 months and get everything set up and ready to go through utility billing. So it would be billed on your water and sewer utility bill. And then we would be looking to implement this starting January 1st. So there wouldn't be any, if you vote yes at the next meeting, it's not like it's, September 1st, we're putting it in to plan. It would take us a few months to make sure we have everything set up with utility billing and do all that before we can essentially go live on January 1st. Like we said, crediting is available. There is an application process that you have to go through. We will, once we have this in place, if it goes through, we will put out information. We'll send out letters to anybody who's eligible. We would do all that stuff to get the public education out there. And we would still probably have some other meetings, public meetings, and open up for questions if anybody has any on how to do it. We try to walk them through the process for the first time. Like I said, continuing coordination with utility billing. There's things that we've got to still work out. We're going to go through each parcel individually to make sure that it's being billed properly before the first bill goes out. We don't want any bills to go out mistakenly. We don't want them to go out wrong. Could it happen? Sure. And we do have an appeals process as well. That's all in the ordinance. If somebody feels like their bill is wrong, they can appeal to the Director of Community Development, and then we can sort it out from there. And then for non-payment, the penalties would be the same as any other utility that's out there, water and sewer. So I won't take a lot of time on this, but this is just an example of how accrediting would work. So you've got different storms that you have to design for to do stormwater management. And if you meet those criteria, you can get certain credits for that, so upwards of 10% for each one. If you go above and beyond our standards and do all of these things that are on this list, you can qualify for upwards of 90% credit. So if you've got, for example, on this one, if a non-residential has, 50,000 square feet or so, they wouldn't be subject to $157 without credits, $157.14. But if they go through and they've done the top 4, they're going to get 40% credit on that. So that drops it down to $102.28. If they go through and do all of it, it would be 90% of that, and it would drop it down even further. So, like I said, there's crediting options out there, but there's also documentation and things like that you have to go through to make sure that your pond or your facility that you're using is functioning properly. So where are we? These are the things we've done so far. Like I said, we did research and study. We met with the advisory committee. We've done public outreach, we've taken input, we've done some modifications to some things based on that. And then we had work session with City Council on July 27th to report the findings of all that. So our next steps, to where we are right now, we've got our first reading of the ordinance tonight. Second reading will be in 2 weeks. And then we do have each, the residential and the non-residential both have crediting manuals. So there's a manual that explains everything on how to get your credits. Like I said, there's one for residential and there's one for non-residential. So we are going to be finalizing those. They're basically in final draft now. We're just making sure that nothing comes out of these meetings that's going to change anything. And then once those are ready, we're going to put those out on the website. We're going to put them out in blasts and things like that so everybody knows about them. They can maybe start, if they want to, go ahead and start getting their stuff together so that they can apply for it and have it active on January 1st. And then, like I said, continuing public outreach and education. We want to continue to put this information out on the web. We want to continue, if people want additional meetings or things like that, we can have meetings. Any questions, myself, Sam Driscoll with Stormwater, the Stormwater Manager, we can answer any questions. And if we can't answer it right away, we will get answers and get it back to people. And then lastly is, assuming it goes through, implementation would begin starting January 1st. So that's all I have for the presentation for now. I'm going to sit down, and then if there's anything that comes up, I can come back up and address anything.
Ask one thing, because I know it's going to come up. Can you just give a few examples of residential credits?
So a residential credit could be anything from like rain barrels. So if you've got your downspouts and they go into a rain barrel, that can be a credit. You can do rain gardens. You can do any kind of tree plantings and things like that take out, that add to green space. So basically, the more green space you have, the better off you're going to be. So like I said, tree plantings, rain barrels, and rain gardens are probably the biggest three, the best examples that you can do on those for
And
residential.
an impervious driveway, like if you had pavers instead of
Right,
asphalt,
yeah.
right?
So a driveway, if you have interlocking grid driveway that allows water to hit it and then soak in, that would be considered a BMP that would get you a credit. Or you could do what's called the pervious asphalt, which it looks just like blacktop, but it hits and soaks in. It's almost sponge-like, but it's hard, if that makes sense. But there's that is a little bit more expensive to put in, and it's more maintenance intensive.
Thank you. I just know that's going to be
Yeah.
one of the first questions, so
No
thank
problem.
you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Simpson.
Thanks, Will.
So at this time, we will go ahead and open the public hearing on this item. Is there anybody that's interested in speaking on this ordinance? When you come forward, please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, I'm Joe Foley, 302 Academy Street in Salem. I attended one of the meetings that was done by the city, and Will and his staff did an exceptional job with that. I think it's Tyler, is that? Sam, okay. There was another gentleman there, and they did a great job. It was a testy group. There was a group, they had a lot of questions that was hostile. People were very aggressive, and they handled it very well and answered all the questions. So you should be proud of the citizens, of what their work and how they presented. In the end, they pretty much won everybody over and said, yes, this has to happen. We're tiering things for the businesses, and that's my only issue that is concern is for the residentials, we're not tiering it. And I know why. It's because it would add city employees. We'd add in the staffing, and more of the money would have to go to administering it. But we're also taking a house that maybe has 10,000 square feet of impervious surface and charging them $10 a month. And we have a house that is 600 square feet, and we're charging them $10 a month. I propose the person who has 10,000 square feet of impervious surface, the $10 isn't a big deal to them. But in a smaller residential, that $10 a month may be. So I don't want to add staffing and add more government employees, but we also, for the citizens, to say, well, it's the same fee whether you own a mansion or you have a shack. This doesn't seem like we should consider that economics with it. It is only $10, but in some households, $10 is impactful. So just consider that with it. And again, everything else went really, really well. They did a really good job. And I don't see a solution to this, but just something to be aware of. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak on this ordinance? It's not.
Stella Reinhardt, 213 North Broad Street. A comment and a question and an observation. The question is, it's kind of what Mr. Foley was questioning about. So if you had, say, I have a brick walkway that's been there for 100 years, is that a permeable surface? Just a question. And then number two is, I've been wanting for a long time to see our stream by City Hall, the green, where the pipes are coming out, and every year they stick out a little bit more. That's something that you see around. If you're in your own neighborhood, you may have a creek that does that. Where I worry actually about the house next door, because over time, unless we remediate that, you're going to have it maybe hitting the foundation at some point. And then the comment. I don't think it's going to help us, even if we figure out the very astute comment just made about the difference between a small house and a mega mansion getting the same fee. And I see the need for funds to fix a problem that's been developing over the years, because in some cases because of the increased rainfall. But the question or the challenge I would give you guys is that we have steadily over the last few decades been developing out many of our chunks of green space in our community, in addition to increased rainfall in many areas. And frequently, neighborhoods that are above other neighborhoods, it can really mess with their sewage systems and the aging infrastructure they were talking about. To me, it seems like, I guess it's another question. Do we have an important section of this where we are addressing the fact that we can't keep densifying, because it seems like it's going against something I saw in the comp plan, where it feels like maybe a push to increase density and allow more development. So I'm just saying, think about the fact that those are opposing forces and that we need to figure that out so that we're not kind of killing everything that we're trying to do positively. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stella.
Anyone else who'd like to speak this evening on this ordinance? In that case, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. Is there anything else you'd like to say, Mr. Simpson?
There's a couple things that I'll address real quick. So one of the things that Ms. Reinhardt said about the outfalls sticking out and seeing things like that, those are the exact type projects we want to go after, because we have what's called an outfall recon. That's one of the things that we are required to do for our MS4 permit, and we already have identified multiple projects with outfall recon of just those types of things that we need to fix, and those also will help us with our sediment credits. And then the other thing was about the tiered system for residential. We looked at that. We did look at a tiered and we did look at a flat. We looked at what others did around us. It's a mixed bag. Some do tiered, some do flat. But with the Stormwater Advisory Committee, we talked with them about it, and every one of them unanimously said that it would be better to do a flat fee, because we would generate roughly the same amount of money if we did tiered versus flat, but it would be, I won't say infinitely more work, but it would be a lot more work to keep up with, because we would have to go to each individual residential lot and make sure that we are billing it properly, that we are making sure that the square footage of the impervious area on every individual lot, so every deck that gets put in, every shed that gets put in, everything like that, we would have to account for and change the fee every single time it gets done. So at that point, the committee said unanimously, they said the flat fee would just be an easier administrative work to do.
All right. So at this time, do I have a motion to approve this ordinance?
Yes, I make a motion that we enact Chapter 30 Environment by adopting additional sections 30-189 through 30-199, Article 6, Stormwater Utility Fee of the Code of the City of Salem, Virginia.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Saunders. Aye. Mr. Holliday.
Aye.
Mr. Foley.
Aye.
Ms. Green.
Aye.
Mayor Turk.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson and your staff. I know that it's been a great deal of work, and I agree with Mr. Foley. I was at one of the meetings, and you and your staff did a very good job of making the presentation and explaining the importance of this ordinance. That moves us to item B, special exception permit. Hold a public hearing and consider the request of Community Church, Inc., property owner and Cornerstone Classical Academy lessee for the issuance of a special exception permit to allow for an educational facility, primary, secondary, on the property located at 1923 East Main Street, tax map number 78-1-14. This was advertised in the July 23rd and 30th, 2026 issues of the Salem Times Register. The Planning Commission recommended approval with conditions. Mary Ellen Wines, is there anything you'd like to explain about this particular ordinance or public special exception permit, excuse me?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Yes, Community Church has leased a portion of their buildings on East Main Street to the Cornerstone Classical Academy. They are a hybrid homeschool, and they are in the church property 3 days a week, give or take, for a total of around 87, 90 days for a school year. The primary issues discussed in the special exception permit application with Planning Commission were traffic circulation, the student drop-off and pickup, parking issues, and then there are some building and life safety codes that they're currently trying to meet. So those were the things that were discussed by the commission. It was suggested that 2 conditions be placed on any approval. One would be a minor site plan submittal that would verify the traffic circulation and the parking requirements. And also that if the church would cease to be there, any religious assembly cease to be on the location, that the special exception permit would then be void, that it's always accessory to a current church use. And as you said, Planning Commission voted unanimously with the 2 conditions.
Are there any questions from council for Ms. Wines? No? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
At this point, I will go ahead and open the public hearing on the special exception permit. Are there any people who are interested in making comments on this particular item? All right, I'll go ahead and close the meeting. Do we have a motion on this special exception permit?
Yes, I make a motion that we approve the request of Community Church, Inc., property owner and Cornerstone Classical Academy, the leasee, for the issuance of a special exception permit to allow for an educational facility, primary, secondary, on property located at 1923 East Main Street, tax map 78-1-14.
Is it with the
Oh,
conditions?
with conditions, yes, with the conditions.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this
I have
particular
a point of
item?
order. I'd mean no harm.
Yeah,
Are you a member of that church, Mr. Holliday?
yes, I am.
Is it appropriate for him to vote on it? I'm not trying to keep us out of hot water. He's not a member of the school, obviously.
Given the fact that he's not the only member, and I assume doesn't draw any kind of salary or any kind of remuneration, I think he can.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The life safety issues, I assume are going to be taken care of, and it's my understanding that the city, we are working with that, with the school and the church to make sure that that the children there will be safe. Is that correct, Ms. Wines?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
They are required to fulfill those regulations before they can occupy the school.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Saunders.
Aye.
Mr. Holliday.
Aye.
Mr. Foley. Aye. Ms. Green.
Aye.
Mayor Turk.
Aye.
All right, the motion has passed. The special exception permit
Thank you, Chief.
has been approved. That moves us to C, another special exception permit.
Mr. Dahl.
Hold a public hearing and consider the request of the Robertson Family Revocable Trust property owner and Amir Al-Sayadi lessee for the issuance of a special exception permit to allow retail sales smoke shop on the property located at 501 West 4th Street, tax map number 143-3-14. This was advertised in the July 23rd and 30th, 2026 issues of the Salem Times-Register. The Planning Commission recommended denial. Ms. Wines, is there anything you'd like to tell us about this particular permit?
Thank you. If you all would recall, in 2024, the Virginia State General Assembly allowed localities to extract smoke shops individually from regular retail sales, and that's what City Council chose to do. And since then, we've had a special exception permit requirement for Highway Business District to allow a smoke shop. In your packet, I'm sure you have a map of the other 11 locations that we have a smoke shop, which was one of the major concerns of Planning Commission, was that we do have several of those smoke shops throughout the city, and they were questioning whether or not that was the highest and best use of this property. It does meet the regulations as far as the distance from any school or daycare, but there is also one down 4th Street there by Lowe's, WC Vapor, and then, of course, there's 2 convenience stores right on the down 4th Street the other side. It is the former Domino's location, you may recall, and yeah, Planning Commission recommended denial.
All right, thank you. Any questions from Ms. Wines on this matter? All right, we'll go ahead and thank you.
Thank you.
And open the public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on the special exception permit for a smoke shop? Seeing no one, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. Do I have a motion on this?
Yes, I move that we deny the approval of a special exception permit for this property. I do not believe it's the highest and best use.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this topic? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Saunders.
Aye.
Mr. Holliday.
Aye.
Mr. Foley.
Aye.
Ms. Green.
Aye.
Mayor Turk.
Aye.
All right. The request has been denied for this particular smoke shop. That moves us to item D, special exception permit and use not provided for permit. We have a request to hold a public hearing at the request of the Preston Place Preservation Foundation, Inc., property owner, for a special exception permit to allow assembly hall, non-residential uses in an accessory structure, and non-residential uses out of doors, and a use not provided for permit for outdoor gatherings of less than 500 people on the property located at 1936 West Main Street, tax map number 138-2-7. This was advertised in the July 23rd and 30th, 2026 issues of the Salem Times-Register. This is divided into 2 parts. The first part is a special exception permit, and then the second part is the use not provided for permit. So when the voting happens, we will vote on those separately. Ms. Wines, do you have anything you'd like to tell us about this?
Thank you. Preston Place on West Main Street is zoned Community Business District. Community Business District is a transitional district that allows for small-scale mixed use. on the periphery of residential neighborhoods most of the time. So you get that transition, you get things like the Dilly Dally and other small shops on the periphery of neighborhoods. This property, as you know, has the Preston House on it. Originally, it was going to be a mixed-use structure where someone would live upstairs and they would use the rest of the house as their civic location. Because of that, a special exception permit is required for any use out of doors that's non-residential, any use of accessory structures that are non-residential, and for the assembly hall that they propose for a future wedding venue and event space. Also, they want to have large outdoor gatherings, and the only definition in our zoning ordinance currently for outdoor gatherings is for larger than 500 people. So this use not provided for permit request is for under 500 people. And in order to accommodate the foundation in one fell swoop without them having to come back to you all several times for different uses, we tried to include everything in their request. Planning Commission did recommend approval of the special exception permits with no conditions. They did place conditions on the use not provided for a permit that you have before you, for an updated site plan to be submitted, for the existing brownstone to be maintained, and for anything above the normal occupancy load that they would submit a traffic plan and a parking plan so that we could verify that their safety and traffic would be handled appropriately.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Wines?
And then Mr. Garst also requests be limited to 200 persons?
Yes,
Okay.
you are correct.
All right,
Sorry,
thank you.
Councilman
No
Foley.
problem.
Thank you.
So that's one of the conditions.
Yes, ma'am, there were 4.
Okay. All right, thank you. We're going to go ahead and open the public hearing. We have one person signed up to speak, which is Mr. Breen. If you could come forward and state your name and address for the record.
I was so hoping I would follow Mr. Robbins or somebody else more qualified to speak on this, but I do have some thoughts. The Preston Place application deserves the council's full and hearty support. The project is presented and undertaken by Salem citizens who have organized into a group to protect and enhance this property. The group is not like a deep-pocket developer who seeks approval to enhance their profits. Rather, the Preston Place project will enhance Salem's amenities and benefit its citizens. The project's intended uses dovetail nicely with public and private services that support many of the comprehensive plan goals and objectives. It is only appropriate that Salem's officialdom, administratively and legislatively, support this effort. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other people in the audience who'd like to speak on this topic? Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Hope y'all are doing well. My name is Dave Robbins. I live at 620 High Street, and I'm the president of the Preston Place Preservation Foundation, Inc. And I've got a few things I want to hand out to each of you. This is a brochure we've just come up with that talks about Preston Place. It gives information and all about the things. I'll give these out. We have these.
Thank you, Dave.
Hot off the press.
Thank you.
Ink gets on your fingers and take no responsibility. As you well know, you know the history of this property. I'm not going to go back and go through all that. The goal obviously is to save the oldest house in the city of Salem and the only green space left in that part of town. So parking is a major issue in that area. We had a plan that was done by Ben Crew in 2018, which had to be reviewed and updated, which we did. Ben updated it in one day, and I delivered that to Will Simpson, a week ago roughly. And just so you know, it is a parking spot for 14 spaces, which we have to have. Just have to have that for the main property. And basically, that's done the same way. As you know, I was involved with the Hanging Rock Battlefield Trail, and that's built the same way. It has a rock base, it has a geotechnic material, and it has a colonial rock surface, very little pavement, which lets the water table go up and down. And so basically, it's very friendly for taking the water away. And so we really desperately need approval of that. The EDA, as you all know, has authorized $50,000 for us to build that, and we're waiting for that approval. The minute we have that, we have bids both from G&H, that I'm going to be getting one from Salem Paving, and based the performance agreement we have to meet with them is we have to find the best builder, not necessarily the cheapest, but we will get 2 bids, and hopefully they'll be both below the $50,000 range. With that, if we have those 14, and that gets, along with the 17, that gives us 31 spaces. Mary Ellen uses the 3 per space, so that's only 93 people we can accommodate, which leaves us a fairly long way from 200 even, and you can do that math. And so basically, I have a call in to 81 Realty. 81 Realty is located in North Carolina, but one of the owners lives in Cane Spring, and that's 81 Realty owns the lot where the Goodwill, the Good Feet store, and the gym is. And I've talked with the manager of the gym, and he's very much in favor of us trying to get 36 additional lots that are already paved. The last thing I want to do when I'm trying to preserve green space is put more pavement in. Mm-hmm. So the last thing I'm going to do is kind of an oxymoron. And so I've called him. Mr. Leonard is the owner's, and I'm waiting for his call back. So if we can get an agreement to get 36 spaces there on the outside for special events, only for the days, which will probably be 12 times a year, mostly on Saturday, and come up with some agreement with them, 36, and we add that to 31, that gives us 67 times 3. We're pretty close to that 200 number. And for us to make a go of it, we've got to have that kind of parking spots. Without that, Reed Garth said, well, Dave, if somebody gave you $1 million, would you need it? And I said, no, if you got $1 million, you can give us. And he said no. And I asked Mr. Dorser, did he have $1 million? And he said no. But for us to be self-sufficient and make that project help a bit attractive business and make it ongoing without coming back every year and asking for money, we've really got to have that kind of, if that doesn't work, we have other options, probably bus people from a church, but that's more complicated. We probably could get some spaces across the road at Walmart, but that's a dangerous road to cross. We're dealing with a very dangerous road for people to get in and out of. If you haven't tried to get out of Mama Maria's or coming out of there at rush hour between 4 and 5:30, let me tell you, it is a dangerous, and we've got to do something with the speed out there. We've got to comment. I don't know how we do that, but we have to. And when we add Wawa to that mix, it's even going to add more traffic and more congestion in that area. So the other things, I know y'all were there when we had the work session years ago. Before we were going to set up, and one of the things you should have in your packet is that before I get to this one of the things that Brad McDonald, he was the guy from the Department of Historic Resources that we talked to, and we asked about, what if we had a barn, out there. I think Mr. Holliday asked that question, and he said, yes, he would allow a barn if it's of the period. And what that barn would look like is a step-back barn. You've seen, you probably, I don't know if you have that in your packet. This is one example that's in there. And here's another example of a step-back barn, a German Swiss barn. And if we built that, however, that's just going to add more parking requirement. And the cost of doing that is probably prohibitive. But I did talk to Mr. McDonald today, and this is a concept of what an outdoor roofed timber structure like they have at Smithfield and at Santa Lane, and he said he'd be happy to entertain this. And so I think he'll allow us to do this, which will again be more conducive to having 200 people rather than having to add more for that. So just so everybody sees what that looks like. But he was very, very receptive today.
Meg's gonna try to get a picture for you, Dave.
Did the glare bother you? Okay.
Well, thank you, Mr. Robbins. It sounds like you're making progress towards the goals and the
Yeah,
conditions that the
it's
planning condition put on.
I've been a lot of effort by a lot of people.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this particular item? All right, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. So, as I said, this is broken into two parts. The first part is consider the request for a special exception permit to allow an assembly hall, non-residential uses, an accessory structure, and non-residential uses out of doors. This is what the Planning Commission recommended approval. Do I have a motion?
Yes, I make a motion that we approve the request for a special exception permit to allow an assembly hall, non-residential uses in an accessory structure, and non-residential uses out of doors for the Preston Place Foundation at Preston Place.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on this item? Roll
Yes,
call.
this is Mayor Turk. My concern is doing a limitation of 200 when we apparently, or Preston Place apparently entertained a festival or a gathering already that had at one point, I believe, 300 people. So why are we capping at 200? Could we consider putting the cap at maybe 350? And what would be the problem with doing that?
I think the condition is on the use
It's
not
on the
provided
on the
for
second
permit,
item.
not this item, Mayor Turk.
Okay, all right.
No more discussion on item D1. Roll call, please.
Mr. Saunders. Aye. Mr. Holliday.
Aye.
Mr. Foley.
Aye.
Ms. Green.
Aye.
Mayor Turk.
Aye.
All right, part 2, use not provided for permit. Consider the request for a use not provided for permit for outdoor gatherings of less than 500 people. Planning Commission recommended approval with conditions. Do I have a motion on this?
I move that we approve this use not provided for permit with the exceptions offered up by Mr. Garst in the Planning Commission.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, now we can discuss this. So,
Well, if I may, because he's already stated, I think the issue is, in some ways, it becomes an issue. If we allow for more than 200 people, he's going to need more space by definition. So, I mean, we're creating a bigger problem for him with
Well,
by allowing more people, in theory.
but I guess also too, now we could come back and change that at a later time, and when it looks like that maybe parking has been accommodated and it looks like that they're able to handle more, then I guess we could change it at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the concern is why come back and change at that point if you look ahead and look to the future of what is possible. And I know you're saying, well, there aren't enough parking spots for that. You know, there are other ways that, I don't know, I do not agree with the 200 number, because I feel like you're limiting their ability to make a go of things and make it successful by reducing the number of people that they can allow to attend. If there is some type of paid event where people would be paying money to come in, then that's going to limit Preston Place from being able to sell more tickets or whatever it is they may have for a specific event.
So let me ask either.
And I will state what I've stated before. I think one of the first issues we as a council need to look at when we're looking at the different ordinances that we have is the situation with requiring people to put more paved area in when we're trying not to have paved areas because they're non-permeable surfaces, and that causes more stormwater runoff. So hopefully that'll be one of the first things that ordinances that we look at when the time comes.
Well, my question, based on your question, is to either Ms. Wines or Mr. Robbins, is there a reason that the 200 was chosen by the Planning Commission? Or, I mean, is it a problem if we increase that to 350, and does Preston Place indeed want it at 350?
The 200 was an extension of what they thought they wanted to accommodate originally. The condition of the overflow parking and traffic plan approval covers additional numbers from a staff's perspective. They'll have to accommodate whatever number it is that they're going to offer for those events. So we'll have to do that for each special event for that large number. So as long as they can accommodate those numbers, staff does not have an issue with increasing the number of occupants.
So they could actually go up to 500 under the way this is written, as long as they had, no, I understand you're not going to, but the way this is written, as long as there was an appropriate traffic plan and
Yes,
parking
ma'am,
plan.
that's correct, if you don't limit the numbers.
Okay.
And that 200 also included employees and volunteers as well as ticket sales. So that was another reason Planning Commission upped it a little bit, was to include those as well.
So there would be no requirement to come back according to how it's written right now?
If you did not put that condition and limit it to 200, then they would not have to come back before you to have events up to 500 people. They would just have to supply the parking and traffic plan.
Okay.
So the motion could be made to approve this without the condition relating to the maximum of 200 people.
Yes, ma'am.
That would take care of
Okay.
this particular issue.
Right.
Does that sound like something, yes. Mr. Robbins, please come forward. Thank you.
We didn't ask for the 200, but that's what we feel we could accommodate currently, even with the having additional parking up the way. However, when the city said, we don't want this property, and it came to us to set up a foundation, had the city taken it in, you can park in the grass, we cannot.
Right.
And so there is grass located conveniently next door that I had planned to use, and I've already talked to the president of the Go Mart, and he's willing to work with us on that, work a plan. But when I found right now I can't park in the grass, so I didn't go any further down the road. But were we to park in the grass, allow an exception for that lot adjoining the property, park in the grass, which wouldn't add any more pavement, then that would up the numbers to probably the 350 that the mayor is talking about.
But that's not before us.
I understand that, but all I'm saying is that option is there. That's my reasoning. If we want to go up to 3, I don't see going above 350, but if we wanted to go up that and not coming back, if that were to be worked out, then we wouldn't have to come back again and ask for that change. And that's all I'm saying. That's a possibility.
Okay.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but what we are looking at today does not include any parking on the grass. But if the Preston Place Foundation wanted a larger event and had an appropriate parking plan and we remove this condition, that could be approved by staff. Okay. Does everyone on council understand?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Well, there was a motion and a second
So we-
for my
yes,
original.
right, there is a
Right, but
motion.
we have to
second.
amend that motion. All right.
I'm not amending my motion.
Okay, all right, I'll make a motion that we,
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
okay.
I think you gotta handle this motion.
Yes, we do
Correct.
have to vote on this
All right,
motion.
okay, all right, that's right.
All right, roll call on the motion as currently proposed by Mr. Foley.
Mr. Saunders,
Mr. Whoa, whoa.
Whoa, whoa.
Mr. Foley, please restate the motion.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear. There was too much talking going on. Mr. Foley, could you please restate?
He's going to.
I move that we approve the permit for, sorry, I'm looking for the language, use not provided for with the 4 conditions that were approved by the Planning Commission, one of which includes the limit to 200 attendees.
So that's what was moved and seconded.
Thank you.
And that's what we're voting on.
Yeah.
so the point of order.
Updated a site, I'm sorry, I got it now. So I stand by my motion for the approving the permit for use not provided for. It includes an updated site plan shall be submitted for review illustrating both the existing parking configuration and proposed parking lot expansion. Any future site development shall require submission and approval of an amended site plan. The existing brownstone parking service shall be properly maintained through the removal of grass, weeds, and other vegetation. Routine maintenance shall preserve the approved brownstone surface, and standard gravel shall not be substituted. Because the city's standard parking requirements do not apply to a use not provided for, permit a parking overflow and traffic management plan together with any supporting documentation, including parking agreements or property owner authorizations, shall be submitted to and approved by the city prior to the operation of any special event. And then total occupancy on the property at any one time shall be limited to 200 persons, including attendees, staff, vendors, volunteers, and participants. And that was seconded by Mr. Holliday previously.
Correct. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Saunders. Mr. Holliday.
Nay.
Mr. Foley.
Aye.
Ms. Green.
Nay.
Mayor Turk.
Nay.
So the motion has failed. Is there a second motion?
Yes. I make a motion that we consider the request for the use not provided for permit for outdoor gatherings of,
Go on, I was just gonna give you the conditions because you
Right.
want to get rid of number 4.
right.
With the removal.
Okay, I make a motion that we consider the request with the following conditions as recommended by the Planning Commission. An updated site plan shall be submitted for review illustrating both the existing parking configuration and the proposed parking lot expansion. Any future site development shall require submission and approval of the amended site plan. The existing brownstone parking surface shall be properly maintained through removal of grass, weeds, and other vegetation. Routine maintenance shall preserve the approved brownstone surface, and standard gravel shall not be substituted. Because the city's standard parking requirements do not apply to a use not provided for permit, a parking overflow and traffic management plan together with any supporting documentation, including parking agreements, or property owner authorization shall be submitted to and approved by the city prior to the operation of any special event. And total occupancy on the property at any one time shall be limited to 500 persons, including attendees.
200.
Oh, no, okay, I'm sorry. Total occupancy on the property at any one time shall be limited to 200 persons, including attendees, staff, vendors, volunteers, and participants.
But you want to.
But I wanted to-
You want to remove that, so you want,
Right.
your motion includes conditions 1, 2, and 3
Right.
from the planning commission.
Okay. All right.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
So just to be clear,
Yes.
you're going to 500 from 200, not
No.
350. You're going, because you just went to 500.
Well, it has to be 500 or under, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's,
Because
yeah.
that,
Yes.
because, right.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Mr. Saunders. Mr. Holliday.
Aye.
Mr. Foley.
No. Due only to Delta, the fourth item.
Right.
Ms. Green.
Aye.
Mayor Turk.
Aye.
All right, that motion has passed. And the staff does understand. Okay, great. Thank you very much. All right, that moves us to item E, resolution authorizing a referendum. Consider adoption of Resolution 1535, authorizing a referendum on a not-to-exceed 1% general retail sales and use tax used solely for capital projects for new construction and major renovation of Salem City schools. Mr. Dorsey.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. On July 1st, the General Assembly enacted their biannual budget and appropriation legislation, which the amendments put in there, I'll put it in English, the fact that any governing body of any county or city can levy a general retail sales and use tax at a rate not to exceed 1%, provided that it's approved by referendum, as you said, and can only be used for new construction or major renovations of the schools. It can't be used for past debt. It can't be used for smaller, capital items. It's literally construction and major renovation for this. And Superintendent Curtis Hicks is here too, if you'd like to say a couple things real quick, if that's fine.
So
But
I came to Salem in 2007, so that was almost 20 years ago. And two major renovations that occurred before that, G.W. Carver and Andrew Lewis. Since then, we've done South Salem and the high school. So the two properties that continue to need major renovation or additions would be East Salem, West Salem. When we completed the high school, we thought we were going to have some debt free up. I think it was either Carver or Andrew Lewis was coming off debt, but the way that debt was structured for the high school, that debt just kind of rolled on and replaced it. So one of the issues right now is we don't have any really capacity where debt is concerned until 2034. So those two schools, they're in good shape. I think the city does a great job of maintaining those facilities. The agreement we have with the city with the opportunity to hold on to any funds that we don't use annually and apply those to capital improvement projects. I think our schools are in great shape, but those two schools, I think it's pretty clear to everybody could do a major renovation. And depending on the Hope Tree project, the Newman Drive project, and how that impacts enrollment, those two schools might possibly even need some sort of an addition. So just wanted to answer any questions you guys had, if you had any about the current state of the schools.
You have any questions for Superintendent Hicks?
I did. Projected enrollments, I guess, and you're talking about whatever happens at Hope Tree and other future developments, but I guess would there be a time where possibly we would consider closing one of the elementary schools or combining two schools where we wouldn't need to have the schools that we have right now?
From a community perspective, I don't think there'd be much appetite for that personally, based on what I know of Salem City Schools. And I also think from a size perspective, having all four schools be similarly sized, I think there are a lot of benefits to that in terms of the programs that are available to students, the availability of staff. I think we have a really good structure. I think if funding down the road, if it were determined that one of those facilities was not safe or couldn't be renovated to the degree to bring it up to modern day standards, I think maybe then you would start to entertain a conversation about that. But currently, I don't think that's something that there'd be a whole lot of appetite to consider.
Okay.
Any other questions for the superintendent? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else?
And with that, we mentioned the fact that if you decided that you want to put this out for referendum, the referendum would say up to 1%, but that means if it passes, you don't have to do 1%. You could do 0.5% or whatever, if it passed and the appetite was there, we'd get with Superintendent Hicks and find out his long-term capital improvement plan and how much money is really needed to fund that and not try to overtax just to do that.
We're scheduled to do actually a study in October of this year. RRMM, our architecture group, is planning to do a facility study this October. So we potentially would have that available right after
if it passed.
Has staff crunched the numbers on that, like actuals this year or from last year, what that would generate, just hypothetically?
Ms. Jordan hasn't spoken yet today.
Hypothetically.
A lot of unknowns, I know. but-
Based on what we know at this point in time, we are thinking if we were looking at 1%, we would be in the neighborhood of about $7 million a year from the sales tax to be used toward, as he said, major renovations, capital projects, or debt, bond, loan cost of a borrowing if that's what was needed for an expansion.
And this goes till 2046.
It is a 20-year project.
That's when it sunsets.
It sunsets, yes, sir.
Is there if we voted to approve the referendum and it were approved by the citizens, is there anything at the moment that limits implementation? Could it be delayed 5 years, even though it passes in 26 referendum?
I do not have a law degree.
Well, I mean, is there any seriously, is there any language, is there any language in there about it?
No, there's no limit in that regard. And I think, the up to 1% takes care of that, because you can, you could do 0.1% or something if you had to, just to keep it going, if anything like that changed. The concern I think most people have had in this is the fact that it was amended as part of the budget, and that's a 2-year deal, and it's not really clear, if you don't do it, that you can do it sometime in the future. So you need to get
At least the referendum.
Yeah, you need to have the referendum done for that reason. The other thing that I heard pointed out in a meeting the other week that I thought was interesting was, to the extent that the school budget includes capital that we fund, you can fund that capital with the referendum, with the proceeds of the 1% sales tax. Doesn't have to be used immediately, so that
Current debt.
right. No, not for current debt.
You can't use current debt.
But the point that was made was, this is not going to be necessarily on top of your real estate tax to cover capital, because what you'll be able to do is you're not going to have to worry about the capital, because you're going to be having it taken care of with the 1%. Not, so you might not. It might save you raising real estate tax, maybe a penny or two in the future, based on the fact that you're going to be covering the capital with the 1%. So it's not necessarily an addition. I mean, it probably is, but it's not. But it may not be as big as you think it is.
I mean, I personally have a problem with raising taxes, with the potential to raise taxes of at least 1%. I think with the fees that we've got scheduled and everything else that's coming down the pike, I don't want to put an additional 1% tax on retail sales at this point in time, me personally. So that's how I feel.
I think that sales taxes are incredibly regressive, and even though this would not apply to food and personal hygiene products, it would still apply to other things that everyone has to buy, such as clothing, tires, cleaning supplies, etc., and that concerns me. I also see this as a way that the General Assembly has given us the ability to tax our citizens so that they don't have to. And I think they're abdicating their responsibility for school construction. It bothers me also, as much as that may surprise you.
Well, thank you.
However, be a contrarian, we're just presenting it to the people to decide if they want to be taxed. We're not saying you're going to be taxed 1% or 0.5% or 1/10%. We're simply saying we're going to put it on the ballot and let the voters decide if they want to be taxed 1% or, and then also I would go on to say, yes, it is regressive, but the one thing about sales tax, it's not all our citizens paying those taxes, right? We have visitors to the town, so the city, so unlike property tax, which is, or real estate, which is all of our citizens. So I just think it's, I don't see anything wrong with giving the citizenry that opportunity to make that decision on their own. I think it is complicated, though, sorry, and I think it's going to be difficult. Already, some of the stuff we've discussed, it's going to be hard to communicate that to voters about. Doesn't have to start, you can do this, you can do that, and so.
But I think voters don't, people say that, they look at it and say, well, this is going for schools, so let's just vote for it. But they don't understand the ramifications of how that can affect their pocketbook every month, every week, and until it actually happens. And then they realize, oh, well, this is what I voted for, but I didn't realize it was going to affect me the way that it is. So this is something that I don't support at this time, but we can.
Yeah. Well, then you could also argue that in 3 years, you're going to have to raise the property taxes for pennies to pay for the new school we're going to need. So, I mean, you can go back and forth on that.
We can, so.
And
Mayor
I think
Turk
part of the
is-
reason,
Sorry, go on.
yes, I think part of the reason why they put a limit on 1% is so that it would not be that much of a oppressive tax on the people. When you're talking 1% of what's being sold, that it's a good limit. It's a very small amount. And I like letting our citizens make the final decision, that let them have the opportunity to decide.
Mr. Saunders, do you have any comments?
I just flat don't like the tax itself. I can see years down the road, General Assembly suddenly changing that 1% tax into something else. And since it's already there, it's a lot easier to do. So, no, I'm not in favor of any sales tax increase.
But I mean, we said this, I mean, we lowered the real estate tax 2 cents, but actually real estate property taxes went up because the home values increased, what was it, 8% or so. There really wasn't any net gain to the citizens. Their bills still went up, and so I don't. Again, at this point in time, I don't support raising it. Even having it on as a referendum and letting the people decide. I don't think that the public will. Some people just won't think it through until it actually happens, and then they actually see it in their pocketbook every month. So I think what Vice Mayor Green said about, the state is trying to pass this off to the localities, I agree with that comment, and I think we should, proceed accordingly. So.
And I think another point, at least in my experience with referenda, someone needs to provide information to the citizens about what they are voting on, and that generally would fall to the local government. So it involves a cost and staff time, and then making very sure that what is being prepared is entirely factual, not persuasive one way or another. And I have been involved in that, and that is not an easy proposition either.
And we have to remember that the situation, we did not raise real estate. The value of the homes went up, so the amount paid went up. But we reduced it by 4%. And if we have a situation that the citizens, if they agree that it's okay for the 1%, then that 1% is something that will not have to be paid by the city. The money would be, I guess what I'm trying to say is the repair of streets and the other types of infrastructure that the city needs to have done would benefit from that. We'd be able to do more if that tax were restricted, the 1% restricted solely for school renovation and school additions or rebuilding. So remember, we went down 4%. And if the citizens agree to a 1%, then that amount of money gets allocated strictly to schools. And then the funds that we normally would possibly have to be given the schools could be used for other infrastructure improvements.
Are there any other comments before I ask for a motion? Is there a motion on this item?
I move that we approve Resolution 1535, authorizing a referendum on a not to exceed 1% general retail sales and use tax used solely for capital projects for new construction and major renovation of Salem City schools.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Saunders.
Nay.
Mr. Holliday.
Nay.
Mr. Foley.
Aye.
Ms. Green.
Nay.
Mayor Turk.
Aye.
The resolution authorizing the resolution authorizing a referendum has failed. Item F, Salem City School Board. Consider setting the date for a public hearing in accordance with Section 22.1-29.1 of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended regarding the consideration of applicants for the school board term expiring December 31, 2026 of Maysel Janoska. The suggested date is September 14th, 2026. Mr. Light? Would you like to explain this to us?
Yes, ma'am. The Code of Virginia requires council to have a public hearing at least 7 days prior to naming a school board member. And at that public hearing, anyone who might be named later or appointed later, their name must be read at that public hearing. That doesn't mean they have to come speak at the public hearing, but their name has to be read. So if you all are amenable to September 14th, we would ask you to set that public hearing date and direct staff to provide public notice and accept letters of interest and resumes from interested applicants for naming at this public hearing.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have a motion?
Do we need to vote on this, or just can we just approve it?
We voted on it in the past.
Okay. I move that we approve September 14th as the date for new school board candidates in 2026.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Saunders.
Aye.
Mr. Holliday.
Aye.
Mr. Foley.
Aye.
Ms. Green.
Aye.
Mayor Turk.
Aye.
Item G, appropriation of funds. Consider a request to amend the school operating fund budget as approved by the school board on July 14th, 2026. Mr. Foley.
Thank you. At their July 14th, 2026 meeting, the school board amended the fiscal year 2026-27 school operating fund budget to increase revenues and expenditures by $1,070,180 as outlined in the council report included in the agenda. This amendment was needed because the state did not approve their FY27 budget until June 29th, 2026. I motion approval of the school board amendment to their operating fund budget for fiscal year 2027.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Saunders.
Aye.
Mr. Holliday.
Aye.
Mr. Foley.
Aye.
Ms. Green.
Aye.
Mayor Turk.
Aye.
Item H, appropriation of funds. Consider a request to transfer unallocated capital reserve for fiscal year 2027 capital improvement plan projects. Mr. Foley.
Thank you. The fiscal year 2027 budget was adopted on May 11th, 2026, which included 4 projects to be funded by capital reserves. Tonight's action will authorize the city manager to transfer the funds for these approved capital improvement plan items into specific projects account within the capital reserve fund. The projects include stormwater drain at Cary Avenue for $850,000, storm drain at Market Street and Clay Street for $750,000, police vehicle replacement of $523,249, and front load dumpster truck for $452,000. I motion approval for the city manager to transfer $2,575,249 from the capital reserve account to the specific project accounts with an effective date of July 1, 2027 in conjunction with the fiscal year 2027 budget as specified in the council report included in the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on this item? Roll call, please.
I caught that reading it. It's the wrong date, isn't it?
26, not 27?
Yes.
Fiscal year 27, July 1st,
26.
2026.
Right, but okay, I'm reading from documents, yeah.
My
When I read it,
my
I was like, that's
apologies,
not
I
right,
gave
that's
you
all right,
the-
that's all right. Let me make that motion again for clarification. I motion approval for the city manager to transfer $2,575,249 from the capital reserve account to the specific projects account with an effective date of July 1, 2026, in conjunction with the fiscal year 2027 budget as specified in the council report included in the agenda.
Do you still second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Saunders.
Aye.
Mr. Holliday.
Aye.
Mr. Foley.
Aye.
Ms. Green.
Aye.
Mayor Turk.
Aye.
Thank you. Is there any other information we need to have before us this evening or to share? Thank you, everyone, for your time. This meeting is adjourned.